Hi, I'm Matt Griesmyer, editor for The Signal, here with Congressman Pete Olson.
Hey Matt, how you doing?
Fine, thank you, sir. How about yourself?
Good.
All right.
A little boisterous town hall today.
A little bit, yeah.
Sir,
How do you feel it went?
I thought it went well. I mean, I thought that's American democracy in action. People with strong felt feelings. We had a nice discussion, but for the most part, it stayed simple. And I thought it was America.
Good. Now, one thing that's a hot button topic, especially for this area, is the NASA and the what was the group that was
the Augustine
Commission.
Yes.
So if funding is cut to NASA or reduced, how do you feel it's going to affect the area?
It's going to have a significant negative impact, and it's not just funding cut it. We need to get more money for NASA. That's the biggest thing I'm taking away from the Augustine report. Is they basically said we have been underfunding NASA for about a decade, at least a decade, and we can't continue to do that. Those bills are coming due, and if we're going to have a commitment, a true human spaceflight program, we need to make that commitment. And so that's what I'm going back to Washington to work on, to get the funds that NASA needs to do the mission that we expect him to do.
Now, has President Obama had anything to say in regards to that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Any sort of plans?
He's got the brief, as I understand, and we have not seen. We've just seen the little synopsis. We haven't actually had the report yet, the full report. I think that'll come the next week or two.
Okay.
And so the ball's kind of in his court now, but we're not sitting on our hands. I'm certainly not. I'm talking to my colleagues up there and starting to talk about things we can do to make sure that NASA gets the funding they need this fiscal year and not kick that can down the road again, because that's what we've been doing. It's time we got to stop. I mean, I would happily argue with anybody in America that no federal agency gives more bang for the taxpayer dollar than the National Aeronautics and Space Administration.
Now, as far as scientific growth, how do you affect? I mean, apparently, you know, the answer might be apparent. But how do you think that reduced funding would affect scientific growth?
It would curtail the growth. I mean, it's NASA has been a leader in research in our human spaceflight program. It's the things we've got from the International Space Station, the fact that human beings have spent numerous months up there doing experiments and all that, zero gravity environment. And there's just tremendous progress that has come out in terms of medicine, healthcare. Just products and making, just metallurgy. It's phenomenal, and we need to make sure that we don't, lose that investment. Right now, we're scheduled to, deorbit the ISS, the International Space Station, in 2015, and we need to extend that to at least 2020. Another thing we're going to be fighting for up in Washington.
Now, the shuttle program's scheduled to be decommissioned in 2010, correct?
Yes, sir.
2010.
Yeah.
And shortly after that, is it 5 years before the Ares is going to be ready?
It is right now. The NASA, the last estimate we saw from NASA was 5. The Augustine panel actually said they thought it was closer to 7. And that's a danger. That's something I'm concerned about, because this is our fault. I mean, that's the sad thing, is that we've got nobody to turn to but our government and our unwillingness to make that commitment. And we've got this situation now. We're going to have to depend on the Russians to get our astronauts to and from the International Space Station. And so, again, how we close that gap, we got to get on it and do everything we can to make it as short as possible.
Now, bringing this kind of home to students, how would this affect students in the area?
I mean, if you're looking to get a job over at the Johnson Space Center, that's going to be a uncertain proposition until we figure out what we're going to do. And we need to make it a long-term commitment. Again, that's been our problem. We have not made the commitment, the financial commitment, to let NASA do the things we're asking to do. And that's got to stop. And then, the other bottom line is it's rocket science.
Well, it is rocket science.
Everybody's like, wow, what goes on? It's like, it's rocket science. People don't realize, that the shuttle, when it got up this last mission, I think it took 4 times to roll out there, then weather and all those other things. Well, there's a significant cost. They've got to fuel it, defuel it, I mean, all sorts of things to get it ready for the next mission. She landed out at Edwards Air Force Base because of the weather in Florida. Loading that thing up on a 747 and flying it across the country, again, that's another 7-figure ordeal. And so NASA encouraged this, and we got to give them the funding to do that and to keep the shuttle flying, at least complete the current manifest, and then make sure we do that gap, close that to the shortest time possible. That if we're putting Americans up in orbit, they're going up on American vehicles.
Good. Now, as far as for our students, what kind of message would you have for your students? Our students.
The message for the students is all get in this game and fight. I mean, it's too important. Our country's future, our human space flight. The advances we've had out of it are tremendous. I would stand here and not have any hesitation to argue that NASA's given more bang for the federal dollar and it's a great future. Get into it, and we're just glad y'all are here.
All right. Thank you very much,
Yep,
Congressman.
thank you guys.